Everyone thought Harold was just a sweet old man. I thought he was a kidnapper. We were both wrong. My neighbor Harold seemed like the ideal retiree. Perfectly manicured lawn, always waved hello, brought my packages inside when I was at work. For 2 years, he was the kind of neighbor everyone wishes they had. Then I started hearing the crying. It began softly, just muffled sobs through our shared wall around midnight. I assumed it was his TV, maybe some late night drama, but the crying happened every night, same time, same duration, exactly 1 hour. I mentioned it casually. Harold, your TV's been pretty loud lately. His face went pale. I don't watch TV at night. I'm usually asleep by 9. The crying continued. I started recording it on my phone, convinced something was wrong. The sobs were desperate, broken. Someone was in serious distress. After a week of sleepless nights, I called the police for a wellness check. They found Harold alone, confused by the report. No TV on, no radio, no crying. They suggested I might be hearing things from another unit, but I knew what I heard. I decided to investigate. Harold left every Tuesday at 2 p.m. for his doctor's appointment. I'd seen him leave dozens of times, always carried a small duffel bag, always looked nervous. This Tuesday, I followed him. He didn't go to any doctor's office. He drove to the old industrial district and parked behind an abandoned warehouse. I watched from a distance as he unlocked a side door and disappeared inside. The crying wasn't coming from his apartment. It was coming from wherever he went every Tuesday. I waited until he left, then approached the building. The door was locked, but a basement window was broken. I squeezed through, my heart pounding. The basement was set up like a small apartment. Bed, mini fridge, portable toilet, and in the corner, a small cage, empty. On a table nearby, I found a journal. Harold's handwriting, documenting daily activities, feeding schedules, behavioral observations. The entries went back 3 years. Subject shows signs of Stockholm syndrome. Crying episodes decreasing in frequency. Subject attempted escape today. Reinforced restraints. Subject has stopped asking for mother. Progress noted. My blood turned to ice. Harold was keeping someone prisoner. The crying I heard every night was being broadcast somehow. Maybe he was live streaming it, recording it, I didn't know. But someone was suffering. I called 911, but as I was whispering into the phone, I heard footsteps upstairs. Harold was back early. I hid behind the water heater as he came downstairs. He was carrying the duffel bag and talking softly. I brought you something special today, Emily. Your favorite cookies. Emily. A name, finally. I peered around the corner and saw him approaching what looked like a door I'd missed, cleverly hidden behind a false wall. I know you've been sad, sweetheart, but Grandpa's here now. Grandpa? Harold opened the hidden door, and I heard a small voice, not crying. Talking. Grandpa Harold, did you bring the coloring books? Of course, dear one. And I brought your medicine. I crept closer, my mind racing. Through the crack in the door, I saw Harold embracing a small girl, maybe 8 years old. She was clean, healthy, smiling. This wasn't a kidnapping, this was. Grandpa, when can I see Mommy and Daddy again? Harold's voice cracked. Soon, sweetheart. Soon. The bad men are still looking for you, but soon. The truth hit me like a freight train. I'd gotten it completely wrong. Harold wasn't a kidnapper. He was a protector. Later, after the police sorted everything out, I learned the real story. Emily's parents had been murdered by her father's former business partner over a debt. The killer was looking for Emily because she'd witnessed it. Harold wasn't her grandfather. He was the detective who'd been assigned to the case. When child services wanted to put Emily in the system, Harold knew she'd never be truly safe. The killer had connections, money, resources, so Harold retired early, faked his own death, and took Emily underground. The crying I heard every night? It wasn't Emily. It was Harold, in his apartment, grieving for the normal life he'd given up to save a little girl who had no one else. The warehouse wasn't a prison, it was a safe house. The journal wasn't documenting abuse, it was tracking Emily's recovery from trauma. The restraints were child safety locks. Harold had spent 3 years of his life making sure one little girl could sleep safely at night. And every night, after tucking her in, he'd come home and cry for exactly 1 hour, mourning the world that had forced him to choose between law and justice. The killer was caught 6 months later. Emily was reunited with her aunt in Oregon. Harold was quietly cleared of all charges and given a commendation for his service. But I'll never forget the lesson I learned about assumptions. Sometimes the most suspicious behavior comes from the purest intentions. And sometimes, the crying you hear through the walls isn't from a victim, it's from a hero who carries the weight of saving someone else's life, one sleepless night at a time.